Welcome to the Ignite 180 podcast, where faith meets fire and transformation takes flight. I'm your host, Sharita Santiago, and together we're unlocking your potential and building unstoppable strategies and sparking the change you've been waiting for. No more playing small. It's time to step boldly into your purpose, lead with impact, and transform every space you enter. If you're ready to ignite your passion and create a ripple of lasting change, this is your moment. Igniter, let's ignite the world together. Hello and welcome back to another episode of Ignite 180. I'm your host, Sharita Santiago, and I'm excited to have you here. Today, we're going to be talking about mastering leadership for scalable success. I know that most think about the word scaling in association with growth, but today we're going to talk about the difference and what it means to grow versus what it means to scale. So let's go ahead and jump right into this conversation. Growth essentially means adding more work, more effort, and more resources. And you might be wondering, well, if I'm an individual and I'm looking to develop my personal leadership, why does scale matter to me? And the importance of scale for you is thinking about the definition of scale, because what scale essentially looks at is your ability to expand your impact without exponentially increasing your workload. So Whereas growth looks at adding more, again, more work, more effort, more resources, we're looking at how to refine and develop and create impact without shifting the amount of work you have to do. And if you're thinking about this, not only from a business perspective, but just personally speaking, how might you refine things in your life so that you have more capacity, not just to do more, but sometimes to do rest, to love up on your family, to find space to build more quality relationships, go on that walk you've been longing for, that vacation. So that's why we're talking about this on today, because the goal is not only in your life for you to master leadership from a scalable perspective for your success, but it's holistic success, not just the money in your pocket, but the entire aspect of you. So I want you to think about it like this. If you were an owner of a restaurant and you were looking to simply grow, you would hire more staff, open more locations, and that would be your growth mechanism. But if you're a restaurant seeking to scale, you would look at ways to streamline operations by maybe adding online ordering or licensing your brand so that you can serve more customers without doing all the extra work yourself. So today we're going to talk about scaling success, and that looks like implementing system strategies and relationships to help you grow beyond where you are and how to have support in the process of doing that. We're going to talk about 3 mindset shifts. The first is stop thinking small. I want to talk to you about not thinking small, but expanding the way you think. We're going to talk about the systems over the struggle. And lastly, building the right relationships. Okay, so let's dive right into our first mindset shift, and that is stop thinking small and adopt a scalable mindset. First, I want to say if you don't believe you can grow, you're right, and you probably won't. And it's just as simple as that. Now, that's a really big pill to swallow, and it sounds really harsh. But one of the biggest things that hold people back is not their talent, background, or circumstances. You've heard me tell my story. I've talked to many others here. It is not the circumstances, the places you've been. It is about the way that you think about success and yourself in relation to success. This reminds me of a gentleman named Nick. Nick is a man without legs and arms, and he is a successful public speaker and author. He has gone on to have a popular and successful YouTube page. And what he's done is allowed himself not to look at his circumstance and stop him or prohibit him from doing what he's been called to do. So maybe either you or someone else you know has had some stinking thinking about what success looks like for them. Some people believe that success is for others and not for themselves. Some think that it's already reached, that they've reached their limit, they've peaked, and there's no other ceiling for them to break through. And others are just in survival mode, thinking that they can't picture anything more than what they see in front of them, making day-to-day work for themselves, trying to figure out how to make ends meet. And honestly, again, this is not just about money. This is about quality of life. This is not about the size of your home. It's about, is it a house, a building, or is it actually a home for you? And here's what I would like you to understand. You will never scale beyond the level of your belief. You will never scale beyond the level of your belief. Think about most successful people you know. They didn't just wake up one day with more opportunities than you. They made a decision to think bigger and move differently. There are people who listen to podcasts like this, read books, surround themselves with a loving community that give them opportunity to share thought and receive thoughtful critique. I had to learn this the hard way. Early in my career, I thought success was about proving myself, taking one more task, saying yes to everything, being the hardest worker, the smartest individual in the room. And while that worked, eventually I hit a wall. And no matter how hard I worked, it wasn't breaking through. I realized at some point that I had to change something. And this was not just about focusing on effort. It was focusing on strategy. What did I want the rest of my life to look like? What kind of experiences did I want to have? What kind of people did I want to be with? What kind of finances did I want to have? What did I want my money, my credit to look like? How did I want my children reared? All of those were thoughts that I had when I made the decision to shift the way that I thought. And here's some things I tried that I want you to consider too. Just think about trying this in the next couple of weeks or months. One, I want you to pick one area of your life that you want to grow. Just one. Pick one simple area. If it's getting an extra hour of sleep, maybe losing 5 pounds, eating more vegetables in a week, spending more time with friends. Pick one area that you want to grow, whether it's business or personal. 2, I want you to define what actual success looks like in that area for yourself. And then the last thing is I want you to start tracking progress. In business, we have something called key performance indicators, KPIs, that help us measure whether or not we are improving. So what gets measured gets approved. If you think about back in the day, you learned about what SMART goals were. The M in SMART is about, is it measurable? So you want to take some time to consider the measure that you will rate whether or not you're successful in that area. Again, what is one area where you can get ready to start thinking big? Okay, so we're going to jump into shift number 2, and this is systems over struggle. The goal here is to have you work smarter and not harder, not out of a point of laziness, but to become more streamlined and scalable in what it is you do. How many times have you ever felt like you're always busy, but sometimes not necessarily making the kind of progress that you would like? And that's because a lot of times what we see is that we're caught up in the grind instead of building true systems that allow us to scale. Again, remember, scaling is not just about growth, it's about expanding impact without exponentially increasing our workload. So when we think about this, we want to understand a couple of things, and that is that hard work is good. It's good. But let's be real. If our success was just about working hard, then some of the hardest working people we know in the world would be the wealthiest, they'd be the most successful, and they would be the most fulfilled. But oftentimes they're not, because success at scale is not about doing more. Again, what matters most is about being efficient and effective. So I want to talk to you about a couple of ways to do things much smarter. So first, I want to introduce a concept many of you all have already heard of, which is the 80-20 rule. And what that simply means is that 80% of your results come from 20% of your effort. So here's what I want you to think about. And these are some very small strategies that you can implement in your day-to-day life. One, I want you to think about what are the things you're doing that actually help to move the needle forward in your life. What are some of the things that you do every day to move the needle forward? Giving the example that I talked about in the first shift, you want to lose 5 pounds. One thing that you can do to move the needle forward is to take the stairs instead of the elevator. Even if you take it up one flight, take the stairs. If it's trading off eating chips for crunchy kale, those are small things, but those small efforts will help to create bigger results in your life. The second is that understand what's keeping you busy, but not producing the kind of results you are looking for. There's a figurative statement that says, the definition of insanity is seeking and doing the same thing over and over and hoping for a different result. So one of the things that I'd love for you to take into consideration as another strategy, not to just keep busy without producing results, but I want you to pivot. And in your pivot, I want you to reflect on where you are. I want you to reframe and reevaluate the things it is that you're looking to do. I want you to reimagine, redesign, and then work on redelivering the thing that you are attempting to do in a state of non-production. So again, I want you to reflect, or first pivot, reflect, reevaluate, reimagine, redesign, and redeliver. You have something great inside of you. And in order for the world to receive what you have to offer, whether it's brainchild of a new product, a business idea, a service, what your kids are looking for from you, your community members, there's something great that dwells inside of you. And we want to make sure that you have space to see those things out. Another strategy that I'd like to add on to the reframing and redelivering is ensuring that you stop becoming the bottleneck. You want to ensure that you make space to cut out things that don't serve a purpose, to delegate things that can go to someone else. And where you find yourself micromanaging processes and tasks, following up with folks to find out if they've done it, find ways to empower them to be of support to you. It is tried and true a skill that may require some work, may require some boundaries, but you want to ensure that you make space to be of encouragement and lift those up around you as you're lifting yourself, so that the work that you traditionally would micromanage, they would now do from a space of empowerment. I'll give you an example. My husband and I have 2 young adults living with us. Our children, we love them tons. But in lieu of following behind them to figure out if everything that we've talked about, everything that we've encouraged them to do, that they've done it, we set a boundary in place and we say, hey, here's a schedule of what our expectations are. Let's go ahead and see to it that you follow it. And then after that, we do things like meet up for breakfast. We have meetups for dinner. It's hard to get a 23 and a 25-year-old to sit down with you sometimes. We meet up at designated times to pray. We meet up to talk. And in that, we find space to empower them, to encourage them, to have them understand the importance of what it is we're sharing, so that we don't have to follow up from a micromanaging perspective to always run behind to see, did you do what it was that we asked to do? And that helps to keep balance for everything that I'm doing in my life, as well as my husband and the children. The last thing that I want to share with you from a strategy perspective is to systematize your life. I know this sounds so quirky if you're one who you don't look at life from that perspective, but I'm saying this from the space of eliminating the concept of winging it. A lot of times what I find is I'm talking to leaders who are winging it out here in these streets. We have been through all kinds of calamity together as a society, and we look up today and it's 2025. We were just in the midst of a worldwide pandemic in 2020, and fast forward 5 years have gone. And 5 years, so much could have happened in your lives and the lives around you. And for some of you, you made use of that time. And for others, you looked up 5 years later and you're still doing the same thing. And my question for that is why? Why? If you found yourself not necessarily living out what you could, but repeating habits that didn't serve a purpose, my question is why? So now is the time for you to create habits and systems that keep you moving forward, even when your motivation is low. Now is the time not to wing it. So now is the time for you to step up and get ready to jump out there and do what's necessary. And the last shift that I want to share with you in today's message is build the right right relationships. Having the right team will have you go far. There's a saying that says, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. You want to go together with those who are in your community in circles of trust who will help you. I will say two things about this, and then I'm going to leave it alone. The first thing that I want to say is you have to have relationships that support the acceleration of growth. If you are surrounded by people who look like you, doing what you do, have no forward motion, and they look up too, and it's 5 years later and there's no progress in their lives either, you want to shift and change that relationship dynamic. Find you someone who can mentor you or even coach you to push you in an accelerated mind state. You want to find yourself in a space where acceleration, foot on the gas of momentum, foot on the gas of your spiritual development, foot on the gas for your love and growth for your own community, your family. You want to put your foot on the gas with those things because those are the traits of high performers. A lot of successful people have mentorship in their lives. I spent time with my coach, Tanel Dickens, and what she did for me was really hold a mirror to who I was, where I was. She helped me to unpack the level of confusion at this level in my life. The place where I was unclear, there was clarity. The places where I was stuck, I became unstuck in a sense. And this is something that I totally encourage for you. If you don't have the money right now, find yourself in a mentorship circle where you can connect with others. And lastly, I would say find high quality friends, peers, partners who can help you with your growth and development, who can also hold a mirror up to you from a deeper perspective. One of the fastest ways to grow, whether in business, leadership, or life, is to learn from someone who's already done the thing it is that you want to do. The Word of God says we have not because we ask not, or we ask amiss. One of the things that you want to do is find ways to ask people. You'd be surprised how many folks will say, yeah, sure, I'll have a conversation with you. I'll meet up with you. I'll have a cup of coffee with you just to help give you some perspective of how to get from where you are to where you'd like to go. They will either multiply your success, or what I want you to be careful of are frenemies who will limit your growth. There are many times where we have folks who are close by watching, but not watching from a place of encouragement, not on the sidelines shouting, go, go, go. But we have folks sometimes who are watching from the sidelines saying, you aren't better than me. Your success or your little success that you have isn't greater than what I have. You got to be careful of those and be very discerning about what your experience is and know the difference. So what I would say to you as I close out the 3 shifts is, in this particular shift in building the right relationships, is to ask yourself. This is something that I've done. I've sat down and I said, who is in my inner circle? Who's right here with me? Who knows the good, the bad, the ugly? Who knows my missteps and my flaws? Who can give me quality feedback on how to move forward? Who can I be vulnerable with and share of myself and not later see it on a social media post or hear about it in these mean streets or hear about it third party in some gossip? Who do you have? Because those individuals are the ones who are going to push you forward. And if you don't have the right ones in your circle, those are the ones who are going to hold you back. All right? As I prepare to wrap, I want to leave you with this. Scaling success isn't about luck or talent. It's about leading yourself well and making intentional choices that create momentum. Leaders who are effective are not just busy. So as we prepare to close, if you don't learn how to scale success, you'll always feel like you're on life's treadmill. And that is not the design that God had in mind when He created you. So I want to leave you with the recap of these strategies that we talked about. The first is pick one area of your life where you're ready to grow and start tracking it. The next is find one system that you can create to make your life and your work, your leadership, more efficient. And lastly, reach out to a mentor, a coach, or a peer, someone who can edify you and accelerate your growth. Because success isn't about doing everything, it's about doing the right things with clarity, consistency, and confidence. And if you do that, you'll not only grow, you'll scale with success in ways that you've never imagined. So go out there and do it, rock star. You've got this. This episode has been brought to you by the Cadre Network and the Convergence Leadership Summit 2025 Kings and Priests. This conference takes place April 3rd through April 5th in Charlotte, North Carolina. This is more than a conference. It's a divine appointment for leaders ready to step into their next level impact. You don't want to miss it. For more details and registration, visit www.cadrenetwork.org. That's www.cadrenetwork.org. We can't wait to see you there. Thanks for tuning in to the Ignite 180 podcast. Be sure to visit our website at Ignite 180 and join our community of bold change makers. You're here to break barriers, ignite change, and inspire others to do the same. No gatekeeping allowed. Like, subscribe, and share to help your friends tap into their potential too. Remember, you're salt and light of the earth. So this week, let your light shine and reveal God's glory through you. Until next time, stay bold, unleash your power, plan big, and spark change.